mind's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a neck that's strong. 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter's, can't you call me? 'Cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine, fighting and a shovel, and I walked up the line. I mined 69 pounds, a number nine cold, a straw ball. Hey guys, how are we doing? I see people are getting into here now. I wanted to bring you guys a little bit of sad news. We start, you may notice I'm having like full blown allergic and autoimmune problems. So never mind that, sorry, a little disheveled with the hair. But I I know the guys that I look up to in this hobby that I have, done years of research and science that I question constantly. I'm writing emails to these guys in the hobby that are, in their 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s now. And they are sadly leaving us and leaving the hobby, at least in this mortal coil. And sadly, I have an announcement tonight that some of you may have seen elsewhere through the ACA and other things, but Paul Loiselle, Dr. Paul Loiselle, has passed on. And that's a real freaking bummer. He was one of the, best known hobbyists probably in the world. He spoke to news publications, things like Time Magazine, the New Yorker, New York Times. I mean, all sorts of different publications. He had an incredible life, from a PhD in ichthyology, and he started out as the first kind of Westerner. In the 20th century, there was some exploration by the French in the 1800s, but really he was the first to modernly catalog and taxonomically categorize and, give us the groups and genera we have today of all of the Madagascar cichlids, the Madagascar rainbow fish, all the beautiful killifish. He spent his thesis years there, and then his early years teaching. Also, he was doing research there in the field, and that's impressive, right? That's cool. Then he moved over to West Africa, countries that no longer exist. In the late 50s and 60s, he was in finding fish such as the crebensis, which he has then changed the name of 3 times, much to my frustration over the years. But, jokingly, he's been a part of that because he's one of the guys who is the guys that, named some of the original, fish like the Nanochromis and all the ones that, weren't just in the coastal rivers and big waterways that were colonial headquarters, big cities and things during colonial times. Everything else was kind of not known about Africa until really the 60s. And then there was this huge second wave, and that's when you started to see all the Rift Lake cichlids and things really enter the hobby and just become, a very, very big part of the hobby. So he was teaching and doing research and taxonomy and species write-ups like a madman. Hey, what's up, Aquarium Domain? Kenny, what's up, buddy? Also, ABC, yeah, ABC Biotopes, Rob E, Robert Bennett, what's up? Good to see you guys. Stephen D, Carson Muffin, what's up? Coro, good to see you, buddy. I know I haven't streamed early enough for you probably lately. Linda, Cece, Fidencio, good to see y'all. Nino Mushi, hello. And Johnny, what's up? Sorry we didn't stream earlier today. I know some of you guys would normally be there. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, I have a bit going on with like hives and just being really having some allergy problems. I think it's partially the time of year, the weather, the pollen's out, but then also my autoimmune issues. Like I have to always be monitoring like how much I'm taking of my overactive immune system medication versus do I have an infection versus it's a mess. So, anyways, pardon that if you're just hopping in and you're like, why is he all swollen and lumpy? Well, that's why. Well, I'm always lumpy, there's that. Uh, but I have a couple things I want to continue just to tell you. So, we're talking about the passing of Dr. Paul Loiselle. And I am debating doing a whole video on this. Maybe we could just do like a 10-minute. I want to be something that's long enough that we could talk about his accomplishments, but maybe not so long that somebody who's newer to the hobby would be like, well, I don't care about who this guy was. Because I really think that like home aquarists don't care a lot of times about the ichthyologists that are doing the science work, and the scientists don't care about the home aquarists a lot of times. But there's this rare overlap, and he was one of those who really did champion the hobby. And what I want to tell you is you may not know who this incredible guy was, but Paul is was him, Dr. Rosario Laort, and Alan Klee, or Albert Klee, Al Klee, however you know him. They were really incredible, and they are a part of who started like the ACA originally and the um, Live Bear Association. And he was old. He was, I don't know exactly, but I want to say maybe 84, 80, 85. But very active, um, very cool guy. And, I was just talking to Rachel O'Leary on the internet, just messaging with her. And I was trying to find some files that I had, photos of him and stuff like that, and more stuff from the hobby. And she mentioned that Paul was one of the first established like authorities in the hobby 20 years ago. More than that now. Yeah, 20 years ago actually. Where if you don't know who Rachel O'Leary is, she still has a fish channel, which you guys should check out. She does a lot of quote unquote nano fish in big tanks. She hasn't been doing new content until recently. She was gone for several years, five years, after kind of making it to like 100,000 subscribers, which at the time she was one of the biggest creators and one of the only female creators, let alone one of the only females going around to speak, along with people like Deb and Pam and the women who started the Cichlid Babes or Cichlid female dogs. I won't say the full acronym. Don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, they're funny. They named their group after the full on swear word, cuss word. They wanted you to know that the women were in the house, and yeah, Alishon, I'm so sorry for your loss too. I didn't know Paul personally that well, other than probably 40 emails over the years where I just asked him things, or if I covered a species that I knew was a cichlid that he had like named or written papers on and things, then I'd always ask him, "Hey, could you take a look at this video for me and let me know like if I screwed anything up really bad?" And he was always so kind about, he'd be like, "Well, you did mess up this a little bit, but it's going to change next year, so don't worry about it. Like don't fix it." And of course in my head I'm like, "Oh gosh, I messed that up. I need to fix it." But he's like, "Yeah, well, we changed the name at the meeting 2 years ago, the taxonomical Switzerland meeting. And then, we just decided again, though, at this year's meeting that we're going to reclassify all of it." So the the cribs are what I'm talking about in particular. I was obsessed with cribs and the tinniatus cribs, Pelvicochromis tinniatus, and the Nanochromis and the Congochromis and all those. And it was yeah, it was just interesting that he was always very positive about YouTube and YouTubers and any way that knowledge was going out there, he was a fan of. And that's also true, as Alishon was saying, uh, Rosario Laort, same exact deal. Al Klee, who wrote the book Toy Fish on the history of the keeping. I was working with him in 2020, 2021, and 2022 in writing the prehistory of fish keeping as like early man and woman, early human fish keeping. And there is a digital file online, like a Dropbox file, that has a bunch of files in there, and that we are hopefully, I'll hopefully pick up that banner at some point. It's 79 pages right now, but hopefully that will be a 200-page book to be added to the fourth edition of Toy Fish if that ever comes out. And it might come out as its own book. It might come out as a free online book. I don't know what's going to happen, but they're people that I really look up to as a DIY hobbyist and maybe, I guess, a little bit of scientist, ichthyologist. I wouldn't call myself at all an ichthyologist. Obviously, I don't have the training, the schooling, but I do have, a background in archaeology, anatomy, and some of the physical sciences and earth sciences. And, I think that the bridging the gap between the the people who love the outcome, whether that's art, paintings, t-shirts that have fish, aquariums, whatever it is, anything about fish, connecting them and the hobbyists and the casual person who just appreciates fish in nature and the person who devotes their life to naming the fish and knowing every little thing about them and the anatomy and the taxonomy. All of these connections, like, it's incredible when you meet somebody who has truly spent their life, 50, 60 years of their life connecting people to one subject over and over and trying to get people to care. And so if you don't know about Paul, Dr. Loiselle, he as I said, he started off in Madagascar, and he's known for all his Madagascar cichlids. He sat on he was actively right now, he was on the board of the IUCN Red List for cichlids in Madagascar and for fish in general in Madagascar. Also, rainbow fish in Madagascar and killifish in Madagascar. He was there to kind of meet up along with another co-chair also for talking about the genetics. He wasn't so big on the epigenetics, genetics, and mitochondrial DNA and using that to track speciation, but he was more about the 20th century style of looking at anatomy, looking at speciation and geography and geology and other things like that. And he worked for the New York Aquarium, and he was also the emeritus, however you want to say that word, curator at the New York Museum for all freshwater fish exhibits since 1986, I want to say. And then he was the honorary one for the Paris Natural History Museum. Also, same deal. The emeritus, he was the uh, uh, what's it called? The Paris Cichlid Association, or France Cichlid Association, and the American Cichlid Association. He sat on both boards, which is pretty wild because the U.S. and Europe, not that they never shall meet on the same board or whatnot, but they kind of stay separate in a lot of things. And yeah, and so I think, the other thing is he obviously is known for his work in Madagascar. Super cool. But what he's not always known for or given credit for is the fact that he tried to get the CARES program off the ground several times. And then when it did get off the ground, he was involved with that and also directly cited as, the reason why that came to be. And so if you know about the CARES program or the idea of the Goodyead Working Group or the killifish and Son of Running River rainbow fish working groups, where us aquariums, any aquarist can get a hold of them, can be a member, help the nonprofit get fish, get eggs, get fry, whatever is around in your area, and then you can grow them and actually keep them in the hobby, and you will be helping keep a species alive. In the case of Goodyeads, we had them almost completely gone in 7 different species, and they've been reintroduced in 4 of those species back to nature from stock that's in zoos and aquariums and aquarists. Now, it's important to note that us aquarists have a big role in this. Us aquarists keep a diversity of genetics that's going to be way different than an institutional set of genetics. So a university or a college, someplace like that has a spawning program, they may keep it for years and years. They may go out and get more from the wild if they can. And they usually keep one line. Maybe they swap with another university here or there. But if it's a very specific little fish that most people don't know about, that doesn't really happen very often. It kind of stays pretty stagnant. And those groups then represent a population of the fish, but they may not represent the true diversity. I mean, they really don't. They can't. They couldn't represent the diversity that was present when those fish were in their prime. And so, aquarists being a part of this project, it keeps more diversity, more genes, more color types, more collection point types possible out there to be represented back into a pool if it's ever reintroduced. So it is really critical that is continued, and that our hobby and our local aquarium clubs do that. And yes, his New Jersey Aquarium Society Baddest species on the whatever 34 are there now species was really top notch. I love Baddest. The thing about Paul Loiselle though is that man, he started with crazy Madagascar cichlids, which were very hard to get to. It's still a nightmare to get to Madagascar. It is like a 20-hour plane trip from anywhere. And then to get to the south end of the island or the north end of the island, it is a nightmare. It is like 4 to 8 days, depending on if it's raining and if you have a bush plane for little segments and or if you have a 4x4 for the other segments or what. It is one of the worst infrastructures a country could have, and yet it is a high population density, and it's an island, so it can be reached by boat, and then you can go inland. That's the other way. Either way, it takes a number of days to do these things. And from a university standpoint or from a scientific standpoint, those studies are hard to get funded. So it really took a charisma and a networking and a social skills of a person to study these fish, to get to these fish in these places, as well as to secure the funding, the travel, and to make it to these places, to talk to the people of these places, and then to communicate that, hey, we want to know this, this, and that. It's really incredible. He brought fish from some of the most incredible places in the world to the hobby. A lot of the Lake Turkana, some of the soda cichlids, some of the Cameroon and Burundi, modern day Burundi. Back when it was Zaire, Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the CAR, the Central African Republic, back in the day. I mean, there's been civil wars going on there for 50 years, and this guy was going and just going for it, bringing back fish from very far-flung places as a hobby, as a passion, but then also later he would document it as a scientist with the credentials. So really, it can't be understated the impact that he had on the aquarium hobby. and what fish we see. We may assume that yes, fish are blue neon tetras and rummy nose tetras and sevrums and to whatever they may be in your head as like aquarium fish, angelfish, right? Well, that has been a different set of fish for every generation, and now many people think of aquariums as shrimp and CPDs and Tanganyikan and Malawi cichlids. He brought back a lot of those too. He was also the foremost expert for the IUCN on Victorian cichlids. Like, how could you keep all these places straight? Like, they're crazy. Lake Victoria is not even a rift lake. It is actually a young lake in the scheme of things, a few 100,000 years old, maybe 700,000 in its early incarnations. It's more of a floodplain and riverway, as well as deeper parts that were lakes for long periods of time, millions of years. But it floods over, it dries up, it rises, falls, shrinks, and he knew the fish there. He knew the fish in West Africa, in the Horn of Africa, some of the Ethiopian fish, and some of the stuff in Turkana and Kenya, and these like places where, let alone fish, you wouldn't think a human could live. And like in the Dunakhalil, just crazy. I probably said that wrong. But in that desert there, it's absolutely wild. And so, anyways, I just want to say, thank you to him. And if you don't know who he is, definitely check it out. I mean, there's lots of things written up on him going back to the 70s, talking about like, thanks for how much you've contributed 50 years ago, right, guys? I mean, that's bonkers. And then this guy was, he was already somebody then who people thought of that way. Have I got a favorite African cichlid? Yeah, I have several. Can I do that? But I think the Nanochromis transvestitis, I like that one a lot. Or transvestius, they've changed the name twice. But the one where the female and male have switched bright colors, like in the species, in the genus, you would normally think all these little African cichlids that the males are bright and they've got purple bellies and they've got some stripes on them, and then they've got like eye spots or peacock spots on their tails or leopard spots. Same with cribs. I love cribs. I don't have any right now, but I would love to get some more wild cribs again in my fish room now. I like all the soft water dwarf cichlids. I really like them, and they're absolutely beautiful. Yep, the Cichlid Aquarium. His book is a classic. I totally agree, Alishon. Thank you for sharing in the chat, Alishon. I really do appreciate that. Anything that that's relevant, obviously, that's super helpful because, I'm gonna try to put something together. I think maybe I'll wait and see if anybody else, like Rachel, for instance, feels like she's more inclined to do a video on him. Because she told me today that literally as a female and with a mohawk and dyed hair and not with the fish background really at first, she was into fish. She's published books now. She's spoke around the world, and he was one of the first people when she was like 24, 25 years old that spoke up for her and said like, this girl knows what she's talking about. Like, let's like encourage this. We need more women. We need more young women. We need more of any kind of person other than old white guys from academia that are retired in these fish clubs. Historically it was like engineers and electricians and architects, people that are very technically minded and very science minded, and then a little bit of naturalist Audubon Society type loving people or outdoor loving people. But really early on, it was technically minded people figuring out how to have the technology to keep the fish indoors. And a lot of it was pretty isolated. A lot of it was in basements and things like that. And, these clubs were really, really important to any sort of communicating and getting back into the knowledge base, getting things folded back in. Um, uh, yeah, totally. Johnny, I will definitely, and thank you, Gerald. That's very nice of you to say, as well, that you find the work helpful. I stand, anything I do definitely stands on the work of what a lot of these guys did. I can literally name off about 12 people that have contributed more to what you guys all know about the aquarium hobby than everyone else put together. It's wild how disproportionate when you get someone who loves a topic and who can deal with people or at least communicate to other people in an interesting way or in a passionate way, how much they impact that subject, that topic, that field. It's immeasurable compared to, you could have a lot of, electricians, for instance. But how many people at home, unless you're an electrician or, something like that, know how home electricity works? How many people could wire their house and not get zapped? It's not a ton of people. How many people are passionate about that and are teaching others and talking about the people who invented alms and who invented who are named after the things like ohms and amps and watts and all this kind of stuff. So I think we owe a lot, and sometimes we forget that it's not enough just to know and to name and to do the work and to file it away in an academy. We need people to bridge that gap. We need people who don't want to do the work, but they want to talk. They want to share what's in the academies and get it on the street to the hobbyists, to the people who don't want to hear maybe all the technical stuff, but they want to learn, they want to know the background. They want to connect the dots. They want to know, why is it important that we save some lake in northern Africa that, there's only 7 species of fish in? Like, there's 800 in the Amazon River. Like, there's way more than that. There's 4,900 at last count. But my point being, some places you see things like Lake Kivu, for instance. That's a spot where there's a lake that has about 30 species of fish, but they've all adapted to life at 9 to 11 point pH, like caustic levels of alkalinity. And the things they can do, some of the things going on in their tissues and organs, are going to be revolutionary in human research for how we can do things in the future, whether that's how to unfreeze tissue that's been frozen and damaged by crystallization of different elements, whether that's water or sulfur or whatever it may be. You don't know where the next jump in science is going to come from, whether they're going to need to know something about how an animal can derive energy from a plankton that lives off of sulfur and iron as its main cyanobacteria, as its alternate trophic source. Things like that. Like, you never know where that next breakthrough is going to come from. And we need people interested in all sorts of things. But, he was somebody interested in the fish, obviously, and absolutely very, very, very important. And as Alishan is saying here, Dr. Patrick Diram, and then Jean-Claude Norsat and Loiselle are really the Madagascar mainstays. There's also I'm forgetting his name. He also co-founded the is it Dorset, who co-founded the ACA early on too. That helped publicize it, but he wasn't necessarily out in Madagascar. But there's got to be somebody who makes an effort, who spends their last buck, who spends all their discretional funding on fish from, I don't know, the Aru Islands, the Aru 4 pseudomagills, whatever it may be, because they love that, because that's what they're fascinated by. And it may come around someday that somebody needs to know, like, how did they do this? Why do they breed like this? What's going on? You just don't know when the cure for cancer, when the way to get more efficient rocket fuel, when electric batteries and recharging maybe with organic batteries, for instance, or nanotechnology. Like, we don't know where that next big thing is going to come from. And nature is almost always hiding an example similar to what we're working on. And so, in my opinion, it shows that we need to make a case. We need to make an argument for why it's important to save nature and not just chop it all down and use it up. and why it's important to keep old growth or to keep ecosystems entirely and not just to keep, you know, one tree species. It's important to keep that tree and species in its ecosystem, doing its thing the way it evolved to as best we can, to watch what happens when pressure hits it, when temperatures go up or down, or when rainfall goes up or down. Maybe there are, evolutionary things about that, or some animal that lives in tandem, or some bacteria or fungi that lives in tandem in that ecosystem that is going to unlock, incredible technology for us. So that's one argument. But I mean, it's not enough in our society just to say, it makes me feel alive. I love it. I love fish. I love nature. I love plants and trees and being out there and seeing the beauty and the complexity and yet the simple, just like overwhelming, just that echo of the void, whether it's full of noise like birds and things, or whether it's dead of night and you hear all the bugs and crickets and cicadas and things out there, or whether you jump in a lake and you're underwater and you don't hear much of anything. It's just silent, to us humans. It's all these places and these parts of nature are parts of us. And I think, the underlying current below everything I do in this hobby, below everything we do in this hobby, I think it's just so important that, I think it's just so important that we do these things so that we are stewards and basically representatives of the cause of securing nature and making sure that there's a place for nature in a world full of humans, and making sure that we understand and we learn about these things. Someone needs to do it. Alishon, Doc let you know what he was thinking. I bred a Charax, so Tetra, and brought it in for bat. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Why would you breed that fish?" It is a scale eater. Yeah. That's funny, Alishon. Bam. That's a new one. I am starting to look more weathered and haggard and looking like Bam. I used to get a lot of different, people say, "Oh, you kind of look like so and so," or "Oh, you kind of look like this or that." But Bam, I've gotten like once maybe before, and it's always when I look like hell. It's when I've got like the allergy rash and the swollen face from my medications and immune problems. But guys, so I wanted to just, thank him for his work and say a word. I just, I wasn't feeling great. Wasn't gonna stream tonight. I was just gonna try to rest and put Benadryl cream on and take my steroids and stuff like that. But I had to come out and at least let it be known that I have an opinion and I think his life matters so much. And not that that matters what I say necessarily, but a lot of people thought that, and a lot of people cared about him and do care about him. Will be sad to know that he passed, and it's inspiring to know that once you leave, you can have an impact that people will remember years down the line, that things will be named after you, that people will discover things, that they will understand new cycles, that they'll learn how to breed fish, that they'll, whatever it may be, you have a legacy to contribute, no matter how old or young you are, and no matter what it is you're doing. You don't know what history, what God, whatever, what the universe has planned for you and what you love and what you're passionate about. So, do it to the max, whatever it is that you love, and share it, and tell others about it. It's so important. Um, yeah. So let's see here. I was gonna show you guys real quick, because like I said, I kind of feel like hell. I've got a new morph of color forms coming out of this line that I did not expect at all. We're in generation 5 and 6 now of these guppies that are the blonde guppies crossed with the blonde Endler guppies crossed with and they were totally blonde with the snake skin rainbow dragons. So look at this cool blue icy little kind of Endler body shape here. So it's yellow, pale yellow from some angles and white, and bright metallic blue when you get it in the right light, like a baby blue or sky blue. And there's about 7 males from this generation here that are sporting this, and they must be Endler because they've got that gonopodium that can go all the way forward, which is kind of a telltale sign usually. But then the other ones in the same exact generation from the same parents look like this. They look like wild Endlers, like or wild guppies with the blue and the orange. They look like a K class or something. So, what I wanted to tell you though is that, yes, we've got these guppies in here. They're doing their thing. And yeah, there's another one that has that kind of snow ice stripe. What should I call it? Tiger stripe ice pattern. But I kind of want to like set those aside and see if we can get something going with that. These ones here, like that, I know that's not impressive from this angle. There it is. But yeah, they're kind of cool. And there's a group of them, and then there's a group of females, and then there's these males that have the purple, or I mean the lilac or sky blue and the orange. And then, yeah, here's another one of those icy stripe ones. Here's a one that's like more of a snake skin, but also still has the icy stripe look. There's another icy stripe look. I like them. I wasn't expecting that at all, but I'm excited and I'm liking them. So that's cool. But I just got these. I had an opportunity today to go to a fish shop and to trade some things in for credit, plant-wise and stuff, just locally. And I got more of the see-through glass ghost cats. And hopefully, they do good. I think I got, how many did I even get? I don't remember for sure. I think I got 8 of these, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 or 8 of them. And then I also have 2 or 3 still in this tank that I moved from that tank. The light's off on that tank right now, and that's okay, but I was going to show you guys. Then I also got these. They're nothing yet. I've already done a species spotlight on these too, I believe. But these are the 7-banded African barb. Or 8-banded, sorry, 8-banded. Now, a lot of these have way more than 8 bands when they're young. Like this guy here has like, I don't know, 15. But I bought 10 of these because they were on sale for $5. And these are usually $15 easily at the store around here. Now, this is the smallest I've ever seen these. I've never seen them that small. These fish get yay big. And in like a 40 breeder or that 65 I have, they're one of my favorite African fish. They're a barb, but they're super, super peaceful. And I think they'll be fine with these reed tetras for now in here and these glass cats. I think they're all going to get along fine. They're all peaceful. And I'll put like a power head back on just to kind of give them something to work with. Then I'm hoping on Friday I get some Florida fish that are being sent up my way. So I'm hoping to have a tank ready for some more of the sunfish soon. And then over here, we've got, in this tank here, I got some Batis. Boy, they've pooped a lot. We've got some Batis. And these are the black and red. They've been called a bunch of different names. I don't know what the official name is right now. But these newer Myanmar black and red tiger Batis. The Batis, similar body frame and everything. Maybe a different color point. Who knows? Anyways, I got some of them. Hopefully 2 females. But now I'm looking at them and they all look male. So who knows? And then also, I got a pair of Hikari Danios. That's a weird story, but I got them. There's one. There's the other right there. So I got some Hikari Danios, a male, a female. They're big, but I've got them. Then the other fish that I got that I was excited about are, I got some rosy loaches. Again, they were $4. How could I pass that up? There's some cute little females in there. And I can tell there's going to be a male at least in there. I've already got 3 or 4 rosy loaches in the betta colony and a bunch of hovering loaches also. But this is the, the tank that's all popular. Yeah, see, it's got bettas. It's got, there's one of the rosy loaches right now, one of the bright red ones. And nobody ever sees these at the pet store and realizes the gem that they are for $4. And the fact that they have such personality, they get overlooked. I'll need to do a species spotlight on them. When I had them in their biotope tank, they were even cooler because they just behaved a lot cooler. Also, I got a new tank in here. We got the new tank waiting in here. We got this all cleared out. And then we've got a new rack here that's going to have ready for this tank when we want it to. We're going to scoot everything over. Then these tanks that are all here, none of them have filters or heaters or anything. They all just are ambient heat, and then a light is all they need. So all those can go onto this shelf in the future. Then this guy can come back onto this little table and be scooted all the way to the door here. And then also, we've taken out all the tank that were down here, cleaned that out, put a 10-gallon at the end, put a 40 tall in, which is a weird, or 40 wide, weird new Aquarium size. And then in here, the last of the new fish that I got today. We got 3 loaches that are these weird chain Zodiac loach is what they're called. I don't know. They're not the Zodiac loach. They're not the chain loach. So they're a little different. I'm going to have to do some research. Also, the thing is, these ones are looking really skinny. And so as much as I want to put them in here with all my other fairly peaceful gobies and stuff, I think actually now that I'm like looking at them closer, I think they definitely need to go into more of a quarantine tank. Perhaps, let's see. Do I want to put it in this one? Yeah, I think this tank is still kind of getting some quarantines out with these Danios that I was talking about. Plus, we got the checkerboard cichlids. Some of them had ick, and so they're kind of going through the cycle still. But look at these as loaches. These were, I think, $7, so they were a good deal. Usually they're like 15 on listings, but I just haven't seen these personally. And these two look good, but that one, look, see how its head is skinnier than the rest of its body? That's pretty good signs of either malnutrition or a worm. And with loaches from the wild, they are very notorious for having worms and having, parasites. So hopefully, we can treat them, take care of that, and that'll be, fixed pronto. Also, the hovering loaches just came out again. They have a new set of babies, which is cool. They're over here. Can I see my... Yeah, I don't know where the other ones are. The hovering loaches, I haven't bought a new hovering loach, though, in 5 years. And they just keep making more babies, which is great. And every 6 months, 1 or 2 die. And I get like 1 or 2 more. It's been at like the perfect replacement rate to keep like 10 of them in there. So, alright. So that's all going on. And now I can set up this tank. I can set up these tanks. I can set up this tank. And I can set up this tank plus the tank in the other room. So I'm finally making some progress on what was taking me so long when I did not feel good, when I wasn't doing well with the health and all that. So yeah, so I'm working on it, my friends. I'm working on it. And, I just want to say thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being here. Hopefully we'll do another stream soon, Friday, if nothing else. And, I just, wanted to let you guys know the sad news that Dr. Paul Loiselle has passed. And I just wanted to thank him and thank people like him in the hobby, people like you guys who are interested in the hobby, who are interested in learning and interested in nature and empathy, and who care about what happens to the world as a whole and to the creatures in it, us, and the things that, surround us. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. So go out, love some nature, love the people around you, and obviously take care of yourself, or you can't do all that other stuff. You know, that's always a battle for me. Make sure I rest when I should. Like, I'm already feeling like, out of breath and worn out just from this little sad live stream. But in any case, um, hopefully someone will put out a video that's comprehensive on Dr. Loiselle soon. If they don't, at some point, I definitely will. I'll take the wheel at some point if that doesn't get done. But thank you all. Thank you, Alishon, as well, for helping out. Good to see everybody. Johnny, good to see you. Um, and also, Vinny, welcome. And just one more fish. Howdy, howdy. You know what? I don't have any chat. I haven't had any chat in a while. I wonder. Let me make sure that, like, I'm sure the chat is just broken on, like, my live stream. Let's see what's going on. Why does I has no chat? I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there is a chat going on right now. Yep, of course, there it is. Yeah, it's just out of date by 30 minutes or something. But you guys, I appreciate it all of your sentiments. Also, Rudy Dwi Hondoko, hello. Thank you and welcome to the stream. Hopefully, we'll do some late night streams so we can get some of the folks from India, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Japan, Australia, some of the other places across the world that watch the channel and tune in. Hopefully, we'll do it one of those streams when I can't sleep some night soon. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Dagmar, hello. All right, you guys, I better get out of here. Aquaballs, what's up, George? Uh, Thank you guys for coming by. Go learn about Paul Loiselle. Look him up, Google him, and yeah, still leaving, Robert says. And take care. Chat test. Ashen Walls, I got you. Thank you. Asya, got you. Johnny, got you. It's the all members channel. That's right. Yeah. Oh, holy smokes. Here he comes with another membership gift for Vibe with Big Heavy Podcast. Welcome. You're lucky. You're lucky. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it, buddy. But I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, you guys. Take care. Peace on that note. Much love. And you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another.